I played a lot of RuneScape as a kid, so I'm very well versed in scams, and it really shattered my trust in people and taught me early on that you can't always put your faith in strangers to tell the truth. Maybe they won't actually double your money. And I think that this led to me being better at identifying scams in real life, but it doesn't make me immune to them either. When I was a freshman in college, I fell for the oldest trick in the book, a timeless classic prank: fake being homeless with a sign and beg for money on the streets. A scam that has stood the test of time. It's people that just panhandle on the street pretending to be homeless and try and get money that way. It's actually very lucrative. Sometimes people that do this make anywhere from 60 to 100 grand a year off of this shit. It's fucking despicable. The reason I'm bringing this up is because on Reddit this week, a video went viral, and it's from 2017. It's an older video, but it's a video of a woman in Richmond who pretended to be homeless and was exposed for it. She even eventually got arrested, but I'll get to that towards the end of the video. But I wanted to go over this video because I think it's not only a very entertaining video with the way she responds to being confronted, but also a bit eye-opening as to the depths people will sink to get a quick buck. This scam in particular has always greased my ass. It infuriates me. People that just take advantage of others' willingness to help, their good nature, it's just so fucked up. But I'll quickly tell my story since I was a victim of this scam when I was younger. I don't know if I've ever told it, I'm sure I have at some point, but when I was a freshman in college for the first semester, I used to commute to university, and I always took the same route, just like a little NPC that never deviates from the schedule. I would always go down one road in particular that had a guy standing at the corner of one of its major intersections. This guy, he looked disheveled, he had a curly white beard, it looked like fucking jolly old Saint Nick, Santa Claus had fallen on rough times, and I'd always see him talking to people, and he was always smiling. He just seemed like a really nice guy. And he had a sign that had every fucking sad tale you could imagine. I'm a homeless veteran, my dog ran away, my wife divorced me and took the kids, I broke my leg in a bowling accident, and I have lung trouble from the time I spent as a coal miner. Any money you can spare is very much appreciated. God bless. It sounded like a fucking country song, and it was heartbreaking to read. So every day, Monday through Friday, I'd give him $20, sometimes $40 if I had a little extra, and I did that for about a month, or a month and a half maybe. But then I got hit with a shocking plot twist straight out of a Darman video. I swear to God, it would have been less painful to find out I was adopted. One time when I gave him money, the last day I gave him money, I really wish I could remember what he said verbatim, but he hit me with something to the effect of, "Really appreciate all that you've given me. My apartment over in this area isn't super cheap, so I appreciate it because rent's been going up." I wish I could remember exactly what he said though, but those were the cliff notes. That was the main bit of lore that he dropped there. That he had an apartment in that area, it was expensive, and it looked like it was going up, so me giving him that money for the last month and a half was a little helpful. And that's when the realization hit. My universe melted around me, and it sunk in, the reality. This guy had used me like a fucking fleshlight. This guy wasn't homeless at all. He was a fraud, a faker, a goddamn drama club thespian leader here with his acting performance on the side of the street for the last month and a half. That area he would stand in was an extremely expensive area of Tampa. So to have an apartment in that area, he was already making a lot of money. And I was just another piggy bank for him to dip his little cock into. I was furious. But I couldn't confront him about it, obviously, so instead I just said, "Yeah, no worries," drove off, and then started taking a different route to university. One that was an extra 15 minutes out of the way, but just one where I knew I'd never have to see him again. I was beyond mad. I went so far above mad, I just wrapped around all the way to sad and upset. Like, I used to take extra money out of the bank just to make sure I had enough cash in my wallet to give him $20 Monday through Friday. This dude became like a daily part of like my routine, like to make sure that I was able to, help him out a little bit. I just wanted to see him succeed, do something good for someone that fell on hard times, only to find out it was all a lie. I don't know if he meant to do that, like maybe he felt guilty from all the money I'd given him, so he decided to drop that little nugget of wisdom, letting me know that he wasn't actually homeless, or what that was about. Maybe he slipped up, I couldn't tell you. But man, did it teach me a very hard lesson. I know that was a long story, and I still haven't even played the video of the fake homeless woman here, but I just needed to let you all know that this shit makes me fucking mad. There's no audio in the beginning of the video here, probably because it's just them puking from disgust at what this woman's doing. So it's just showing that she's going car to car, asking for money, and can even be very aggressive with the way she panhandles, apparently. And then they eventually follow her all the way to her car, which is parked nearby.
Can I help you with something?
No, you're alright.
What are you doing?
Just wondering why you have a 2014 when you're begging for change all over the city of Richmond. You're
Why
on.
don't you leave me alone
You're
before I call the cops?
You're viral. You're on Facebook. You're the talk of the town this morning. What would you like to say to everybody in Richmond?
You know what? That's it.
How much did you make today?
So this woman was a known scammer. She's not actually homeless. She has a very modern car. This video is from 2017, so her 2014 vehicle here is a very modern, pretty expensive car. So obviously, she's not actually on hard times. She shouldn't be begging for money. I shouldn't need to explain that to anyone. I don't think there's anyone out there that'd be like, well, Charlie, it's a legitimate profession, taking advantage of people's willingness to help someone in need. You know, this is her job. This is her 9-to-5 work, begging for money under the false notion that she's homeless and needs it, when clearly she doesn't. So, just a whole lot of bullshit, just a slimy, pathetic worm here. And this is 2014, so I'm assuming by now she's moved on to doing OnlyFans, probably to moderate to no success there would be my guess. Or she might be back on the streets scamming. There's no telling for sure, but she gets confronted here by these two men that are filming, and then her immediate response is to once again just try and play the victim, so she walks over to the local McDonald's to try and get them involved.
How much is in that bag?
I'm calling the cops on you right
Good.
now. You better get me off your cell phone.
Everyone, be warned. How much you make today?
I always love this immediate response. I'm calling the cops. Yeah, you've caught me on film scamming and doing something illegal. You can't panhandle like this. It's a crime. But I'm going to call the cops on you because you're making me uncomfortable with your video exposing me. In fact, you're hurting my feelings. The delusion is just always so fascinating to me. Like, what could she possibly think would have happened if the cops showed up? They were going to take her side? Well, I mean, gentlemen, you are filming her in public. You're going to jail. It's a capital offense. Ma'am, please go back out there and keep scamming. Like, she had to have, at least for a brief second, had some neurons fire to tell her that it's a bad idea. Like, I'm breaking the law? Why would I call the cops on myself? It's a big fucking self-report. You know, maybe I should just get in my car and leave. But for some reason, that line of thinking doesn't compute with her. So instead, she tries to, like, get the police involved and McDonald's involved.
Huh?
You have the complete right to say.
How do you feel about this?
These people will leave me alone. Why are they taking pictures of me in my car?
We have a right. This is a free country. We're not doing anything. Did you know that she parks in your parking lot every day? And
God, I love the response from the employee here. Like, I don't know. What are you talking? I don't know why they're filming you. Who are you? Fucking crazy lady, a lunatic? You escaped from Arkham Asylum? Why are you asking me? Christ, I don't know what's going on here. Why are you making me open this window here and then bombard me with like an interrogation? I don't know what the fuck is happening. You know, like, I don't know what the scammer could have possibly expected here. Knock on the window, Ronald McDonald answers and, like, comes outside to save the day. Like, hey, stop filming her right now, gentlemen. In my establishment, not at Mickey D's.
never spent $1 here and begs for change on
That's her car right there,
every day.
Fiat.
Next time you see that car,
She's free to leave. Is all. We can't stop her from getting in the car and driving away.
They can't stop you and driving away.
thank you. We got everything we need.
That's illegal to do
Come
that.
here.
No, or anything like that.
We can't stop her from getting in her car and driving away either.
Can you tell me why they're doing this?
Because it's
Ma'am,
wrong.
I don't.
She has nothing to do with you.
I don't. I just
What?
work here. I don't know why.
You
they're
should
fine.
know
I don't
why
know
it's
them,
wrong.
I don't know you, so-
That's exactly right. Ma'am, I don't know what's going on. I just work here. Like, she's just doing her job. She's not going to take your side. She doesn't know what the situation is. I don't know why you think she would all of a sudden try and, like, defend you or your honor or whatever. I don't know why you're asking her these questions anyway, like you're trying to report something to the principal of a middle school. It's just ridiculous. I feel so bad for the employee in this situation. That's got to be so uncomfortable. Just doing your job and then all of a sudden you get caught off guard by a completely unhinged, deranged goober.
So why are y'all doing this?
Because it's wrong.
You're taking people's money. You have look at your car. What year is that?
It's wrong.
What year is that vehicle?
What is he talking about?
How much? Where do you live?
I'm going to try and be a little armchair psychologist for a moment. Her continuously asking the employee, like, what is this guy saying? Must be her defense mechanism, like her cope of like, oh, no, I'm not doing anything wrong. Do you hear this? Do you hear these crazy people? Do you hear what they're saying? Me taking money from people? Like, what is that, huh? Do you know what they're saying? She just strikes me as someone that takes no responsibility for her own actions and views herself like an angel, a saint that never does anything wrong. She's perfect and morally beautiful. Nothing she's done is indefensible or bad. So when she's challenged on this belief of herself, she just completely crumbles and tries to like get other people in there like, no, 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 tell me I'm good, tell me I'm right.
You're begging for money.
What do you want?
You're begging
Who
money.
are you?
Why you do it? Stop stealing people's money. Stop begging for money. You own a car. You're not homeless. Some people are really homeless. Some people are really homeless
Okay,
and need
so
help.
do you think that people have to stand out here because they're homeless?
Why do you stand out here?
Because I have a disability.
What are you disabled from? What's your nature of your disability?
your sign
What is the
say?
nature of disability? What is
That's
it?
none of your business.
A bold strategy, but unfortunately a swing and a miss. Her sign says she's homeless. So her whole thing of, no, I'm here because of a disability, is immediately contradicted by her own fucking sign. Also, I will say, she has great fashion sense. She's wearing a shirt that says, I train while you sleep. So checkmate, nerds. While we're all snoozing and catching our embarrassing wet dreams, she's out there on that grind, the Sigma grind, scamming. What a hero.
Excuse me.
We're not stopping you from getting in your car and leaving. Go ahead and get in your car and leave.
Can you tell me
What does he have to do with you?
If anything, sir, she parks in your
I
parking
can't even
lot
get
all
my
day.
vehicle.
She parks in your parking lot. That's her car.
She's like a random encounter in an MMO right now. She just keeps going up to anybody around the area like, excuse me, these people are saying that I'm not a good person. Can you believe that? Isn't that ridiculous? And then she even tries to say that she can't get in her car and leave, that they're blocking her. But they're not. She can get in her car and leave at any point, and at the end of the video she does. Spoiler alert. They weren't blocking her at all. They were just following her around, insulting her, and rightfully calling her out on this bullshit.
You're begging for money. Look at your car.
What do you want from me, you stupid? What do you want from me? Someone's gonna end up killing you. You
How?
see?
For what? What am I
You're
doing?
harassing me.
I'm not harassing
That's
anybody.
why.
You're stealing people's money.
That's why. You're harassing me. Hey, they won't leave me alone.
We got everything we need, honey.
Someone's gonna kill you.
This fucking imbecile even tries to flag down a customer that's just leaving the restaurant after getting their meal to try and like talk to them and get them involved in all of this. It's so weird. And she constantly keeps mentioning that someone's going to kill them, that what they're doing is going to get them killed, which is of course pretty fucked up. But at least this story has a happy ending because she got arrested shortly after this video went viral in 2017. She was arrested on 3 counts of throwing a missile at a moving vehicle, a charge I didn't even know existed. That sounds like some supervillain shit. How is she throwing a missile? That's like something Senator Armstrong would do in Metal Gear Rising. But then as I read more, it's because she would like throw Gatorade bottles at people or something. So it's pretty wild. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this story a little bit since it's one I'm very passionate about. And that's about it. So yeah. Hello everyone, Merry Christmas. I know it looks like I'm being held hostage, but I'm not. I'm fine, I promise. I swear on jolly old Saint Nick. But I do recognize that this looks like some kind of witness protection leaked footage kind of thing, like an interview with Edward Snowden or something. So I'm on a little Christmas trip, and I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday. Hopefully Santa Claus delivered wonderful presents and beautiful ass for you all to eat today. And I've got to tell you, he left a little something special for me, that old greasy bastard. You see, Santa Claus and his reindeer were able to evade NORAD, which is America's air defense program, in order to deliver something truly awful for me. And it is the gift of knowledge. He blessed me with a link to an article on a reality TV star who's begun selling her farts in jars and has made over $100,000 in the last couple weeks doing it. It's amazing. I don't remember if Christmas is supposed to be the celebration of Jesus' birth or remembrance of his death. I couldn't tell you, but I imagine it's probably his death, and this is probably what killed him.
Hey guys, welcome to another day in the life of a girl who sells her farts in a jar. Since my last TikTok, I've completed over 100 more orders, and people have been asking me for proof, and the proof is in the pudding.
Now that is a stinky pudding. $78,000 from jarred fart sales. This is what 2021 is all about. This is entrepreneurship in the modern era. If only I'd seen this video a week earlier, I would have had a great stocking stuffer for my whole family. I'd be giving jarred farts away like candy. Yeah, so this is how I'm spending my Christmas, envious of a woman who's jarring her farts and making 6 figures off it. This ties perfectly into something I've been saying for a long time now, and something that I still truly believe. I think any woman or man, for that matter, should start an OnlyFans ASAP. You can just make tons of money doing fully clothed pictures. Like pictures you would post on Instagram, you can post on OnlyFans instead, and people will pay for them. There are desperate, lonely weirdos that will pay top dollar for anything, no matter how trivial it is. You actually think she's farting in all of these jars? No chance. At the very least, at least when Belle Delphine was selling her gamer girl bathwater, you were at least getting water in those mason jars. Here, you're getting an idea, an imaginary fart in there. There's no way to confirm it's actually there. I don't think every time you open it, you're gonna get like a fucking Methodist, you know, like a blast of this odious ungus of a fart that she's dumped in there. Like, I just don't think that's happened. I think she's literally just taking empty jars, putting like little roses in them and shipping them. I don't think she's farting in them. Not to, you know, put on the tinfoil hat here, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't think she's farting 500 times a day to fulfill the orders here. There's just no way her ass can meet the demand right now. She doesn't have the supply for it, unless she has like some kind of turbo X-Men mutant style colon that's able to just constantly blast these bad boys out. I just don't think it's possible, because she's getting hundreds of orders, because she's made over 6 figures doing this. It's amazing. Though I guess it is possible she's able to, because apparently she's dedicated her whole life to this art here, so she eats a diet that helps her fart all the time, like constantly. And she even has this video where she's checking on her colon after a day of farting. I don't know what happens there. Maybe the colon just gives her a thumbs up, like, yep, still good down here. But I guess it could be possible, theoretically.
Now, look at that. You are welcome. So today started off very early. I had a radio show interview that was based in Mumbai, India. So had to be up at 4 a.m. to get my hair and makeup ready so I'd look sexy for the fart buyers of India, who are one of my biggest demographics.
Honestly, this is a Sigma grind set right here. She's farting, she's shitting, and she's doing interviews to continue farting and shitting professionally. She's entered the realm of professional farting, and jarring, I suppose, by extension. Now, I know a lot of people are quick to judge and say, wow, women have it so easy, they can just jar their own farts. Ugh, they're playing life on recruit difficulty. But think about this for a moment. You have to basically be ready at any moment of the day to start jarring a fart. Like, I've juiced out some real wet ones over the last week or so, because I've been eating a little unhealthy on this vacation. And I wouldn't even stop to think to jar them, you know? Like, it'd be such a hassle, like, oh my god, I'm at the family dinner, I've got a good one ready to squeak out of my butt cheeks, and I have to jar it, because this is going to sell for premium, you know? This is going to be a collector's item. I'm going to probably mark it up, because it'll be like the elite package, you know, something like that. And it's just, it's a lot. Like, there's a lot of moving parts to this business, and I don't think any of them are easy, and I think it probably weighs on her mentally, but she's a hero. She's a champion. She's a fucking farting champion, and she's starting to reap the rewards of it, because she's not afraid to put in the extra effort to get to the top.
Then I spend a portion of my day working on my fart jar NFTs that are launching in just a couple weeks. I chat with my fart jar community on Discord, answering questions, talking about my farts, and working with my graphic design team. And after that, I have some shipments to drop off at the post office.
More like shipments, am I right? Because she's selling farts and shit. But anyway, this is about the most predictable 2021 outcome of any business ever, turning it into an NFT. It's almost poetic. To take fart and shit and make it an NFT, I think that is absolutely beautiful. Though if you ask me, it kind of defeats the purpose of a fart jar, because the whole point of the fart jar is that it's a physical thing, right? You can open it and get that hit, you know, that dopamine rush. Whereas with a fart jar NFT, you don't get that. It's just like a piece of art that you have to assume represents one of her meaty blasts from her ass, I guess. But again, I'm not like the main clientele here. I'm not one of her buyers or in her demographic. So maybe people are buying the fart jars just to keep them as a collector's piece, put it over the fireplace, or maybe even put it like in like a glass display or something to talk about. I just imagine with fart jars, the whole point is that you can at any moment open it and gas out the whole room. You actually get something physical and you get a smell and an experience, whereas in NFT you don't really get that. But I'm sure it'll do extremely well, because anything with an NFT does well from fucking idiots, I guess. So I just want to talk about this, because this is how I've spent the last hour of my Christmas, is just reading about her and watching some of her explanations on how the fart jar business is going. She's got a whole fart jar enthusiast community, and I just think it's incredible. I think that's great. So congratulations to her, and what a great year for fart jar enthusiasts everywhere. That's about it. See ya. Boy howdy, do I have a wacky story to share with you today. On today's episode of I Can't Believe It's Not Florida, we have the story of a man in New Jersey who crashed his car through a police station while listening to Welcome to the Jungle. So I'm guessing he had that song cranked to max volume and the adrenaline was pumping in his body. The song was reaching its crescendo. It's about to go into the chorus, and then this guy's eyes roll into the back of his skull. Welcome to the Jungle summons the spirit of Evil Knievel, takes the wheel. The demon of speed is there, puts the pedal to the metal, and just crashes into the police station. And then he, celebrates, kind of. It's an unbelievable clip here from the surveillance camera footage. He gets out of the car like a gymnast who just landed an impressive trick. He strikes a pose like he was expecting some kind of huge celebration, a massive round of applause, as if it was a concert or something and he was performing. It's almost impressive just how much gusto he gets out of the car with. I don't know what he was expecting to happen next. Man thought he was in an audition for Expendables 5, I guess. He's a fucking action movie hero. I have to wonder what he thought would happen next. Maybe he expected them to let him off with a warning because it was so cool. The officers would come out there and just be like, brother, that was the most badass thing I've ever seen. Fist bump. God bless America. Now get out of here. This is your warning. But unsurprisingly, they didn't just slap him on the wrist and send him on his way. He is facing potentially life in prison, not only for this incident, but he actually did something very similar previous to this. This isn't his first rodeo with crashing a car into a building. So apparently he had crashed his gold Toyota SUV into a garage of a private residence to try and scare and harass the homeowner, which he is still facing charges for right now. So this fucking dangerous, unhinged goofball treats motor vehicles like they're missiles. He is just blasting these into any building. Nowhere is safe. You know that statistic that gets tossed around from time to time about how you're more likely to be killed in your chair in the living room than you are on a plane, in a plane crash? I'm starting to believe that now, because with this kind of person out there in the wild, you never know when a car is going to be just crashing through your walls like the Kool-Aid Man, like a fucking torpedo, and just hitting you in the living room out of nowhere. That is just, it's incomprehensible. So he's built up quite an impressive resume here with a lot of charges to his name. So for the first incident, he's facing burglary, criminal mischief, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, and harassment. And now for this one, he's facing a terrorism charge, which carries a minimum sentence of 30 years and a maximum sentence of life, causing widespread injury or damage, aggravated assault, burglary, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, and criminal mischief. The punishment fits the crime here. It's not like these are exaggerated charges. He just blindly blasted his vehicle into this building. He had no idea if there was going to be people on the other side of it, which could have easily killed people. So yeah, all of these charges really fit the crime. He is not safe to be in society, especially not behind the wheel of a vehicle. Now, one other thing I find shocking about this footage is how calm the officers are in responding to this. They make it seem like it's just routine, as if cars are just crashing through their walls every hour of every day. It's like they just get out there and they're annoyed, bothered. Oh, jeepers. Jiminy Christmas. Another one? Alright, come here, son. I can't believe you've done this. Oh, bother. Alright, book him. Now we're gonna have to clean up another wall. I just don't know how it's possible to be that calm in that situation. They just look exhausted. They look tired and annoyed. Whereas, that would be the most shocking jump scare imaginable. Jump scares don't scare me in horror movies or horror games or anything like that, but this would probably actually have me shit myself. 100% I would stain my britches. That is the most unexpected thing to happen. And it's not like that's immediately what you would expect the sound to be. Like, they were in the room over, so they would have just mainly heard it as opposed to see it right away. That must have sounded like a bomb going off. My first thought would be that we had just been hit by a drone strike or something. I wouldn't immediately think like a car came through here or something. Like that I would be in a panic. I would be inconsolable. I'd be shaking. Meanwhile, these two officers here walk out like they'd just been rudely interrupted from their nap. It's just wild to me. Also, something I didn't mention. I mentioned that he had previously crashed into another building, a private residence. Well, what I didn't mention is that first crash had happened only minutes prior to this one. So this guy was just on a rampage. He must have been looping Welcome to the Jungle here, and it was bringing the worst out of him. Now, they haven't disclosed what the motive could have possibly been for crashing into the police station, but here's where I come into the equation, because I'm about to crack this case wide open. This is what I think happened. This is my theory. I got the corkboard up with a bunch of red lines drawn to a bunch of different scenarios. So let's piece together what we know for sure. His first crash into the private residence was due to a disagreement with the owner, and it was meant to scare and harass them. I think right after he committed to that, he knew shit was not going to go well for him, so he wanted to go out with a bang. So then he drove a few minutes away to the police station and turned himself in the only way he knew how. With Welcome to the Jungle sending him off like a WWE walkout song and a giant fucking explosion here of crashing through the building. I think his motive was truly he had just ruined his life prior by crashing through the private residence, and he just decided to go all in into the lunacy and then crash through the police station. That's what I think happened here, because there's no other potential explanation that I can think of, not even in the realm of science fiction. Like, I can't think of, maybe a possession or something, or like some kind of alien event or anything to try and explain away what could possibly have led to this. I really think it was him knowing that he had already committed a serious crime, and he just, I don't know, decided to go even harder for it and just call it quits by driving through the police station. Or another very likely explanation is he has severe mental illness and completely fucking snapped. That's also very possibly the case here. Who knows? I am excited to see when they finally reveal the motive, because he doesn't seem like a man who's going to be, tight-lipped. It doesn't seem like he's going to be hard to get the truth out of. He probably told them at the police station why he did it. They just haven't said to the public yet. He literally got out and celebrated like he just scored a fucking touchdown in an NFL game, right? This isn't a guy who's going to be super hard to get to the bottom of with his reasoning. He's probably an open book who will just tell them why he did it. But yeah, anyway, I just had to share this story and clip with all of you because, my goodness gracious, that is like something you would see as a fake headline in the background of a movie or a game or something. Just something that people would make up because it sounds ridiculous, but it actually happened. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I know Thanksgiving's right around the corner, but I'm too excited. By golly, I tell ya, I can't wait, so I'm serving up the turkey early. So I hope you've brought your appetite, because here comes the choo-choo train open wide. I'm feeding you something very wacky today. This week, 2 Arizona school teachers lost their jobs after some of their OnlyFans content they were producing leaked. And it wasn't so much the existence of the OnlyFans itself, it was more so the fact that some of that content was filmed in the classroom that the woman teaches at. Her name is Samantha, and she was an 8th grade science teacher by day, but by night, she was a penis professor. And she filmed videos with her husband where he would just fuck her in the classroom that she teaches at, just reducing a holy dojo of education to a simple cum dumpster. Now, in response to all of this blowing up, she's come forward with another video, but this time she's not getting her ass spread open, she's spreading her side of the situation. So, she has this video that explains why she did all of this, as well as going over how everything unfolded. And I'd like to share that with you all, as well as going a bit deeper about the situation, because it's maybe even a bit more than wacky. This is starting to teeter on the edge of being pure silliness, even, I dare say.
I created content at the beginning of the summer in order to earn extra money on the side to help pay for our basic necessities that our salaries were no longer meeting.
So she starts by explaining that teacher salary, especially in Arizona, is dog shit. And you'll get no argument from me there. Teachers get paid in popsicle sticks, basically. I think their salary is laughable compared to the work they're expected to do and how miserable the job can be. You make more money boosting League of Legends accounts every other weekend than you do as a full-time teacher. It's fucking ridiculous. I think it's just sad. And her husband is also a teacher, so a 2-teacher salary isn't exactly like hitting the jackpot. That's not an infinite money cheat code or anything. So she says that her and her husband started to struggle with being able to meet the basic requirements for their family and their children, which is why she looked for alternative income methods and chose OnlyFans. But then the question still exists of why do it in the fucking classroom that you teach your students at? It makes no sense whatsoever.
I chose an anonymous name as well as blocking the entire state of Arizona on my OnlyFans so that it wasn't accessible to anyone living in the state.
I didn't even know this was something you could do. I had no idea our technology was this advanced where you could just ban an entire state from checking out your OnlyFans. It makes sense that she'd tried this approach here, so that way no one in the immediate area would ever find it, but clearly something went awry. The technology must not be bulletproof because they still found it, and rather easily, it seems. Just listen to this. One student reportedly told his mother that his teacher was spread over his desk. What a crazy conversation that must have been. Just picture yourself being that kid. You're hanging out, sipping your apple juice, just a normal 8th grade day, and a friend of yours sends you a link to a video your teacher filmed and says, "Isn't that your science teacher, Miss Samantha?" So you click it, you open it, and there it is. No secrets left. Your teacher is being spread like butter on toast, and it's on your desk. You just sit there thinking to yourself, oh man, I did algebra on that desk. And then imagine going into school on Monday and coming right up to that desk. Like you'd have nothing but like these war flashbacks, these visions of cheeks being clapped on your desk as a tear streams down your face. I'm also curious how many desks she was fucked on top of, because in another report someone said, "That was my friend's daughter's desk, and she is mortified over the situation." It really seems like no desk was safe in this situation here. And I have to wonder, did they like clean up after themselves or anything? Because they didn't set it up like it was a scene out of Dexter where he puts up like all of the, sterile environment, like surgery operating room kind of shit. They just went in there raw and like in the actual classroom and fucked. Did they at least bring Clorox and wipe off the desks when they were done using it? Or did students then go into that classroom after the weekend and wonder why their desks smelt like asshole? This whole thing just doesn't make any sense.
The video that was created and advertised was made after contract hours on the weekend. No minors were ever present or involved in the videos.
I don't think anyone was ever trying to make the accusation that minors were present or somehow involved in the content, because that would be a whole different ballgame. This would be an entirely different conversation. That would be a massive, massive, massive crime. Now, what people are saying is even though minors weren't present, the fact that you're using their space for adult content is a problem, obviously. So although there's no kids there, like Junior's not knocking on the door to the classroom, "Miss Samantha, I've got my extra credit homework." "Oh, jeepers!" Like even though there's no kids actually there, the fact that you're fucking in their playground is an issue. You can't just go to a kid's space and film this kind of content. It's not okay. You can't just like venture on over to Chuck E. Cheese and get your back blown out in the ball pit, film it, and expect nothing to come from it, expect it to be all honky-dory. And again, why did you want to use the kids' space for your porn? Why? It's not like that was your only option. You could have done your OnlyFans anywhere else, like at home. Why did you take it and film fucking porn in the space that you teach children? It is so fucked up and weird. And also, I'm sure all of you have realized this by now, but after school hours and on weekend doesn't necessarily mean there's no kids on the campus. I remember growing up, there were always club activities and shit that would go on weekends. So it was still very possible that there were kids in the nearby vicinity. It doesn't mean that there was no kids ever even close to their situation. It just, luckily, none of the kids ever, walked in on this shit. The whole video also isn't helped by the fact that she's clearly reading something she wrote in Microsoft Word and is trying to, keep up with it. So she'll take these long pauses to scroll, and you can see sometimes she loses her place in the document. So it also comes across as very insincere since she is blatantly just reading it very monotone from her monitor. So I don't think that helped anything that she was saying here, to be honest.
I am already paying the consequence by losing my teaching certificate as well as losing the job that I loved most. I thoroughly enjoyed working with my coworkers, teaching my students science, and it brought joy to me every day. Looking back at the situation, I wholly regret creating the video in the classroom after school hours. But I felt trapped in my financial situation, and I felt this was the only way that my family would be able to survive.
Really? This was the only way, the only option? Having your husband give you the Big McThankies from McSpankies in the classroom you are a teacher of. That's the only way your family could survive? How? And why couldn't you just film yourself getting fucked by him at your house in the safety and comfort of your own house, in private, away from everyone else, and certainly away from the area that kids go to learn? Jesus Christ, if the whole idea was to sell a fantasy to perverts about a school teacher being fucked on the job or whatever, why not just set that up at your house? Just get a little desk, a TI-85 calculator, and a ruler, and then still have your husband give you the business there, away from actual schools. Like, it just seems like a no-brainer. So yeah, overall, a pretty wild and wacky situation. Again, I do understand teachers do not get a fair salary. Their pay is pathetic for what they do and how important teachers are. They're like probably one of the most important jobs, and yet they make no money from it, basically. So I do understand the financial struggle, but that doesn't excuse what Samantha and her husband did here. All of their actions fucking in the classroom that they teach kids at is despicable and sick. So it's no excuse for their actions, but I do understand that the teacher salary is terrible. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I'm talking about Boogie again, the internet's favorite clown. Everyone is lining up to throw the baseball at the target to dunk this goober into the water tank, and I can't resist. It's actually unbelievable how he continues to find new deplorable ways to sink deeper into degeneracy and dig himself even deeper holes. I am blown away by his ability to constantly embarrass himself. I don't know what kind of kink this is, but it goes beyond humiliation at this point. So buckle your seatbelt, I'm gonna deliver a high-speed Boogie breakdown here for what happened last night. So, Boogie has maintained for a while that he has cancer, and a lot of his reasoning behind his most recent cryptocurrency scam was that he needed the money for his medical treatments with his cancer. And last night, that diagnosis was challenged with people directly confronting about the authenticity of his claims because there were some inconsistencies and some shady things with what Boogie was saying about it. I believe the catalyst behind this whole conversation was Destiny, who spearheaded the questions that he had about Boogie's diagnosis, and it led to, like, directly talking with him about it, which then led to more and more people coming in to talk to Boogie about it. And for those that don't know, Boogie2988 is a pathological liar. He cannot help himself. Just like a pile of dog shit can't help but smell like poop, Boogie can't help but lie. Even about the most trivial things ever. He used to tell fibs about games and like what games he was playing and finishing and why he needed to buy games to review them only to never review the games. Like, I'm surprised he didn't start weighing in on the Elden Ring DLC being too hard, saying some shit like, oh, well, yeah, so the Elden Ring DLC was quite simple for me, really. I kind of first tried every single boss. My favorite boss was Rudonius of the Hidden Leaf Village, obviously. Like, he just lies, and he can't help but continue to lie anytime he sees an opportunity for it, especially if it could potentially lead to some level of sympathy. Oh, yes, I've experienced racism. Me, Boogie2988, as you know, I'm a full-blooded Atlantean, and I recall when Plato came to our hidden continent and sunk it himself because he didn't like the color of our skin. Like, he is just a liar, is the point I'm trying to make here. An outrageous one at that. So, with some of the things he was saying, people started to question whether or not he really did have cancer. So, they confronted him directly on a podcast. And throughout the 3 or so hours that he was on the podcast there, he chose the worst possible dialogue options every single time. And it eventually culminated with him getting naked.
So, your shred of privacy is this. but not being naked on film, not talking about fucking whores,
Yeah, I'll
not
get
talking
naked
about
right
being
now.
bankrupt.
I'll get naked right
Do
now.
it. Take it
I'll
off.
get naked
Let's
right
go.
now.
Go for it.
Talk about
Let's
that.
do it.
A pretty interesting strategy here to get nude, just strip down to your birthday suit. Boogie's playing chess, the rest of us are playing checkers. Lying about having cancer takes a very special kind of scumbag. It's not unheard of on the internet, there's plenty of famous cases of people doing that, but to come in and question Boogie on it, like, you've got to have your ducks in a row. And Boogie, when defending himself, refused to show even a single shred of evidence to push back against the claims, and the claims had more evidence than Boogie did about his diagnosis. And it eventually reached the point where people were begging him to just show like a fucking single molecule that would somehow lend any credence to Boogie's claims, and he just refused. There was I think it was an $80,000 bounty. Like, multiple YouTubers came in and offered thousands upon thousands of dollars to Boogie, up to $80,000, to just show a piece of his medical record to a trusted third party, so that way they could verify it, that he really does have cancer like he claims he does. And he refused. Which is very weird, considering Boogie just scammed his audience for $10,000 talking about how desperate he was for money because of his medical bills and everything. So he'll scam his audience for $10,000, but he won't just briefly show a little piece of his medical record here for 80 grand, 80,000 clams? That just doesn't add up. Because he's talking about how it's like the last bastion of privacy he has, which doesn't make any sense because Boogie has never given a fuck about privacy. Every single aspect of his life, he has pushed into the public eye that people have to just like have their fucking retinas burned out against their will because Boogie is shoving every aspect of his personal life down their throat. Yet this is the one thing he wants privacy on, even though he himself was the first one to ever talk about it. It just doesn't make sense. So it's definitely not looking good for Boogie after this. He's since deactivated his Twitter account and everything, which probably is only temporary. He's addicted to Twitter. It's like a heroin addict. Like, I imagine he's going to go back to the needle here to Twitter. But for now, it's looking like his ham got steamed on this podcast. It doesn't look good here. Of course, it hasn't been 100% definitively proven that he's lying about his diagnosis or anything like that, but the whole situation around it is very weird for sure. And I just want to show you a little bit from it. Now, a buddy of mine, whom I'm sure all of you have heard me talk about in the past, Jackson Clark, that's a name that lives in infamy in the mind of Boogie. Jackson Clark is Boogie's boogeyman. He mentioned Jackson so many times unprompted in this podcast that the other hosts were left stunned, wondering who the fuck is Jackson? Because Jackson has, for a long time now, been pushing back against a lot of what Boogie has said and done to his audience. And Jackson, a while back, did talk about the diagnosis on Twitter, and it has, I guess, weighed heavy on the psyche of Boogie.
Yeah, I'm never showing any of these motherfuckers my medical paper. Go fuck yourself. I said that 2 years ago, and I'm staying by it now. Destiny, Jackson Clark, Keemstar, you can see it when I fucking die. It's my fucking goddamn medical record.
I don't know why Jackson Clark was on the tip of his tongue there in the middle of this panel, but wow. That's so big. Hold on, I gotta send that to Jackson. Jackson's gonna have a big old smile and a big old wet spot in his trousers for it. That's big. It was Destiny who put up 5K and Muda put up 50K. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's not like Boogie to turn down free money like that. He just scammed his audience for $10,000. Which, in this podcast, he openly admits to. I think it was, who was it? Like, I think it was Nicholas Diorio. Nicholas Diorio at the very end came in and he's like, "What do you mean morals? You scammed your audience for 10K. And Boogie goes, "Yeah, but this is different." He's like, "These are two separate things."
Because I'm insisting on it. Because
Drop
I'm
the microphone.
No, wait. Why would you have to insist on a biopsy if you can confirm?
But this is basically the whole podcast where they are picking apart Boogie's story and just begging and even trying to offer him tons of money to prove that he actually has what he says he has. Where does he mention more Jackson, though?
Goddamn medical records. And I don't want one of you motherfuckers feeling sorry for me. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you do.
Okay?
As
You
Mike
can
just
hate me
got
as much
quiet.
as you fucking want. But I'm taking one goddamn thing with me. And this is a decision I made when Jackson Clark demanded this shit 2 fucking years ago. And it's
Turn
a
your mic
decision
up.
I'm fucking sticking to here 2
I
years
don't know who
later.
Jackson Clark is.
I don't even know if I'm getting...
That's incredible! Jackson Clark, he did it again! First and last name! He's doing it! He's doing it! That's so huge. And now he looks like a pioneer for being the first to request the Panama Papers on Boogie here. And then 2:43 on the dot. Jackson mentioned again. This is like a Where's Waldo game. Alright, so 2:43 mentioned again.
Getting his name right. It's fucking Moist Critical's butt buddy. I don't fucking know.
Why do you keep
They do
calling
a
him
podcast
Jackson
together.
Clark?
I don't
Wait, he's getting name dropped again!
know his real name. What is it?
What do you mean you don't know his real name? You've said it 4 times. Jackson Clark. You think that's an alias? A first and last name alias? His real name's fucking Steve Cheeseburger? And why you pretend you don't know his real name? You tweet about him every now and then after blocking him so he can't fight back. That's his pseudonym. He's using it like J.K. Rowling.
The
I'm gonna let
law
him have
too,
the
right?
win.
I'd
I'm gonna let him
break
have the
some
win.
type of law.
I'm gonna let him
HIPAA
have
laws,
the win.
yeah.
I'm gonna let him have the win.
What's the reasoning behind that? Why are you letting him have the win?
Because as I said to Jackson Clark 2 years ago, or at least said about
Jackson
it,
Clark.
yeah, I am not sharing my medical records. I'm not sharing this with the internet. This is for me. I'm good.
How much money did Jackson Clark get you to fucking say his name?
There is
Yeah, I
no-
know, right?
On this stream.
I don't know.
Great
Yeah,
advertising, yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's good
Jackson
for
Clark.
penguinz0. penguinz0. Jackson Clark. penguinz0. Jackson Clark. Check it out. Buy Fattycoin. There.
That's, honestly, put that on the back of the DVD box. That is so fucking flames. Hold on, I'm telling Jackson timestamps. Get Jackson on stream. He's sleeping right now. It's Australia. He's not up yet. He actually hates you too. He does. He absolutely does. 100%. But he hates everyone that doesn't immediately fall in line and agree with him. What's crazy is he doesn't hate Keemstar, who literally invited him over to his house on the 4th of July just to throw ice cubes at him and bully him. But he hates everybody else. Literally everybody else. It's so odd. It's super weird. I don't know why he hates me and Jackson so much more than everyone else. I genuinely do not. I have talked about Boogie twice. Once with his crypto scam and once with the documentary that dropped where he talked about how his life fell apart from buying hookers and everything and still had a crazy ego about how he deserves to fuck tens and all kinds of heinous shit. Those are the only 2 times I talked about him. And comparatively to everyone else, I don't even think I was that mean. I gave him legitimate advice about maybe instead of scamming your audience, you should just keep making YouTube videos. He averages 20k views per video. If you just make a video a day at that average, he would be able to support himself with at least $10,000 a month. Easy. Bare minimum. Like, I feel like, honestly, it was pretty reasonable. But maybe he doesn't like to hear that. He'd rather people throw ice cubes at him in person. I don't know. I really don't know. You guys did make fun of him in the documentary for like an entire podcast episode. Yeah, constructively. Like, if you're going through all these health problems, maybe don't start every day with a Mountain Dew after you take off your fucking CPAP machine. Like, that's constructive. I think. Like, instead of a Mountain Dew, anything else. And maybe just doing fucking acid in the middle of the forest with a fucking shaman is not going to be the therapist you need. I know, yeah, I know. They brought in everyone for this one. It's certainly not looking like Boogie was telling the truth, shockingly. But who knows? Maybe for some reason he really is refusing like $80,000 in order to keep this last bastion of privacy, which isn't really private considering he was the one that talked about it first. Watched all 4 hours. He doesn't hate you and Jackson. He thinks Jackson Clark is your real name and Charles White is one of your internet aliases. No, that's not true. He knows we're separate people. Now you're just making shit up, but I love that. I love that idea. Jackson Clark is my Australian alter. So a couple of quick things. I have made 2 videos on Boogie ever, but he has become a pretty common topic on the podcast where we talk about some of his more recent shenanigans. So maybe that's where he's hearing a lot of it from, because in videos, it's only been 2 from me. And on the podcast, it's not just me. It's everyone kind of just going over like the Boogie recap on what he's doing right now and why he probably shouldn't be doing what he's doing right now and how he can do things that are better than that. Like maybe that's where he's seeing a lot of it from, where he gets this idea that I'm always, shitting on him or whatever. And the other thing I actually want to dive into a little bit is where I briefly mentioned that if Boogie would just make a video a day, or at least increase the frequency in which he creates content, he would be able to support himself. And he wouldn't need to resort to scams or lies or these elaborate ruses to try and squeeze milk from a stone here and shake down the last remaining audience he has for their lunch money. He could just support himself through what he used to do, which was make content. Yes, he lost most of his audience once they started to take a peek behind the mask, the facade that he put up, then they noticed that he's like the goddamn Babadook, right? He's a monster. But his channel was so big that even losing the majority of his audience still leaves him with a very sizable audience left. That's bigger than like 99% of other channels on the platform already. And averaging between 20 to 30,000 views per video is sustainable. I have another channel, and I've talked about it a couple of times, called Skill Check. And this is for all of the nerdy shit that I love to do. It's pretty niche. So Dungeons and Dragons and trading card games. Right now, mainly Magic the Gathering Commander, but we're branching into more Yu-Gi-Oh! And One Piece TCG content. I have a huge passion for this shit. And the average views on the videos for that channel is right around 30 to 40,000-ish. Sometimes they pop off like the Commander game with Wubby or the Shot Caller Commander game, but the average is between like 30 to 40,000 across the whole channel. And I'm going to just give you a peek behind the old analytics here. This is what the channel generates. Off 2.1 million views per month, it makes over $7,000 per month. Now let's compare that to Boogie's channel. Boogie, even when not creating content, his channel basically just gathers fucking cobwebs because he doesn't want to put any work in and make stuff. Even with that in mind, his channel still makes almost 1 million views per month. Now imagine if he would just post more frequently. He could easily fucking support himself through AdSense. He could. No matter what lie he tries to feed you about how that's not possible, no one wants to watch him, his average says otherwise. He just doesn't want to do it. He's looking for the easier paydays, like taking $10,000 up front to pump a fucking crypto scam. If it is true that Boogie is lying about all of this, that'll just be yet another unbelievably low thing that Boogie has done throughout his career. And he has made a career out of doing some of the lowest shit the platform's ever seen. So again, it hasn't been 100% confirmed that he's lied about this. So maybe he is telling the truth. Maybe he's got stick it to the man neosis. Like it's just all a very odd set of circumstances with the way all of this is unfolding here. And I just had to talk about it a little bit because, man, I mean, Jackson Clark, he got mentioned so many times here, and this is just such a fucking weird story. That's really about it. See ya. As I was rendering the video here, some new lore just dropped, a little update to this case. Keemstar made a tweet kind of talking about some things behind the scenes. Now, he's like the Boogie whisperer. Boogie tells him everything, I guess. So, I think probably best to wait for Boogie to confirm all of this, but I'll at least put this here for the sake of covering everything that's come out here. According to Keem's tweet, Boogie went on steroids that could cause cancer in the blood, and then 2 years ago, after he lost his money in crypto, went to the doctor, said he had high red blood cells, indicating he may have it. Before he got any confirmation, he made a YouTube video announcing it, and then for 2 years has been telling people he has it to use it for sympathy, and he never actually got confirmation, but now apparently he's scheduled to go see whether or not he has it. So that's the most recent update there, and it doesn't come directly from Boogie, so I guess we might have to wait to see what he says about it, even though Boogie himself isn't really a reliable narrator since he lies about everything ever. But again, there is no 100% confirmation on whether or not he's lying about this or anything, but it is certainly very peculiar. Very, very weird. That's about it. See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we're amid global panic with the coronavirus still at large, but what if I told you there's a new pandemic sweeping this world, and this one's got a TikTok? I'm talking, of course, about the OK Boomer dancing Bernie girl from Twitter. She's taken over Twitter like Skynet taking over the military in the Terminator franchise, and much like Skynet, she's weaponized it. She has inadvertently turned simps into a weapon. You got men blocking their wives on Twitter so they can simp for her in private. You have brave soldiers fighting for her love on the front lines of every single comment thread ever. It's fucking madness. It's crazy out there. It's true hysteria and quite the phenomenon. She's got up 120,000 Twitter followers in the last 4 days. You can't log on to Twitter without reading about it or seeing it. It's crazy. Let me go ahead and show you the clip now.
Whatever you say, boomer. Okay, boomer. Yeah, boomer. Whatever you say, boomer. Okay, boomer. Yeah, boomer. Whatever you say, boomer. Okay, boomer.
I don't know what Kidz Bop album the song is from, but it's quite the jam. Now you'll notice she's wearing a Bernie shirt with a hashtag Bernie thing. I don't like to get political, don't know fuck all about politics, not gonna pretend like I do. But in this case, it wasn't about politics, it's about politics. The Twitter audience only cared about obsessing over the girl, nothing political. I mean, maybe Bernie cared. I mean, maybe Bernie went to her Twitch streams and dropped a fat 50 gift subs. I don't really know there. But on Twitter, they only cared about the girl, not the politics behind it or anything like that. Congratulations to her, though. Her name is Nico. She blew up because of this, so good work for her. I don't know about the song. I mean, the song's kind of fucking weird. It just sounds like Tommy Pickles and the gang getting together to do karaoke. I don't really like the song. But you can't argue with the results. This shit popped off. And like I said, this spawned an actual conflict, a real war that we'll most likely be reading about on Wikipedia in the next 2 or 3 years, where you had the simps that really thought that they could fall in love, that the girl would fall in love with them if they kept trying hard enough to defend her and fight her battles on Twitter, versus the people that didn't like the TikTok dance, people that just don't like TikToks. They went to battle. They fought on multiple Twitter threads across multiple days. It was bloody conflict, ruthless and vicious, until today.
I recently got me and my boyfriend shirts, Bernie shirts.
Did you catch that? I'll play it again.
I recently got me and my boyfriend shirts.
Me and my boyfriend, she said. The queen betrayed the simps. Nay, she outright brought them outside and publicly executed them. She announced she had a boyfriend, and this was when the peace treaty was signed, where both sides said, you know what, we don't have a chance, let's just move the fuck on. So while this may have ended the majority of the weaponized simping, there were still some remnants of soldiers on Twitter that didn't know the war was over. Kind of like the Japanese holdout soldiers, where they still defended islands and shit for like 60 years after World War II was over because they didn't know. That's kind of what exists on Twitter right now. Of course, as always, there were those really fucking creepy posts claiming that they had the girl's nudes. It was just trolls where they had a completely blank picture that made it seem like the picture wasn't loading. So in all these posts, there were some really desperate, pathetic weirdos that were begging to get the photos, you know, DM, Discord, like this guy here fucking factory resets his phone. I'm surprised he didn't bring it into the Apple store to see if he could help him. It's some really sad shit, but there was a lot of this going on as well. Really, it's been a wild time on Twitter with this simp war that's both started and ended within a week, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case you haven't been on Twitter, just to bring you up to speed. And if you haven't been on Twitter, congratulations, that shit's a real swamp, a big old fucking cesspool, but I did find this to be pretty entertaining stuff. That's about it. See ya. I saw a body cam video today that had such a weird story to it that I just found myself on the edge of my seat. And it's not because it was some kind of high-octane pursuit or anything. It wasn't like Dukes of Hazzard style or, you know, them chasing someone who's ramping their car off of a parked tow truck as, like, rockets fly out of the top or anything. It wasn't exactly a spectacle. In fact, on paper, it's probably one of the most boring things you could imagine for a body cam video. They pull over a man on his bike because he didn't have a rear reflector. Like, that's not exactly like, you know, jaw on the floor, like biting at your fingernails type action or anything. That's about as exciting as trying to arrest someone for forgetting their library card, right? But this was just the first domino to fall that led to a crazy story that ultimately concludes with everyone learning that the guy on the bike is actually a fugitive who's been on the run for almost 30 years, a convicted rapist who escaped and fell off the grid, and now they've found him because of his bike not having a rear reflector.
You gotta have a rear reflector on your bike, my man, if you're gonna ride on the roadway. So, what's up?
Oh, okay.
So, and then if you're gonna ride at night, you need a front light. I'm sure you know that, but you got an ID on you real quick just so I can say a stop to talk with you?
With me.
Okay. Can I get your,
Greg Stallings.
Greg Stallings is your name?
Gregory.
Okay.
Introducing the man formerly known as Gregory Stallings. We'll soon learn that this is just an alias, an Xbox Live gamer tag. Now, it's not hard to fake a name, anyone can do that. I could go around calling myself Jericho Double Chin, but I don't have an ID to prove it, though if you're like confident enough with what you're saying, a lot of people will just believe you. So, He'd been able to get by going by Gregory Stallings and even had a social security number to give the officer.
I think I wrote something down wrong. What's your full social? Perfect. Yep, hang tight for me. Gregory, I'm still not getting that back. Are you sure that's right?
I'm pretty sure. It's been a long time since I had to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the social didn't turn up anything either. It's very easy to make up numbers. You can make up a social as well just by spouting some random fucking numbers. However, you'll soon learn that he's not just making up information. It's actually much deeper than that.
If you're riding your bike and someone rear ends you,
Oh, yeah.
and then they can kind of
They
point the
didn't
blame
see no
because the
sticker.
reflector.
Yeah.
And I hate that because it's like, no, it's
I understand that.
copy. Can we try a soch? And I'm also with our traffic unit, so I do all our accident investigations.
Okay.
So whenever bikes are involved, it almost always is way worse than.
Yes, it usually hits you from behind.
Yep.
Now, when I first saw the headline to this story, I wondered, how common is it for officers to even bother pulling over someone on a bike for something as simple as this? To me, that just sounded like fishing for an arrest to meet like a quota or something where you get like a nice gold star for an additional arrest on something small. Because it sounds very simple, right? It just sounds like something they wouldn't even take the time out of their day to do. It'd be like if the cops started chasing you down and fucking pit maneuvered you on the way to the grocery store, guns blazing, get the fuck out of the car! We saw that you put the Hatsune Miku box in the garbage instead of the recycling. You're out of line! You know, just something like really simple. But when the officer explains it, it makes a lot more sense. So he explains that he doesn't arrest people for this. He just pulls them aside, lets them know, like, hey, you should have the rear reflector on because if a car hits you, they could point the blame on you for not having it. It's just safer if you do have it. And he just explains that it's really just him letting them know and nothing beyond that. But he still has to go through standard protocol of confirming that the person is who they say they are, which I think makes total sense.
I haven't had a driver's license in years. I haven't.
Copy. Can you try running him through Florida? How long have you been living up here then? Just think of this, what state. I can get you through any state even if it's really old, so I know it's been a while. Just try to think.
Time.
Yeah, try to think for me.
Sorry, I can't help you, dude. I'm sorry.
Where else have you lived? Have you ever had any other run-ins with any law enforcement for us? No?
They've reached a standstill here, so he has no identification, and the information he's providing isn't turning up any results. They then try and run him through Florida, because he had made a mention of Florida. I feel like you could also run anyone by Florida, and you'll find something fucking crazy. You'll probably find, like, Gregory Stallings was actually, like, a Florida conquistador who drank from the fountain of youth and now currently resides at Clearwater, right next to the Scientology church or something. Like, I thought once he said Florida, his goose was cooked, they'd find something, but they didn't. So now they're still just trying to figure out, okay, how can we confirm that you are who you say you are? And it's not really getting anywhere. He also then told them a story about how he got hit by a car, so his memory's a little foggy.
I'm just going to take your word for it, okay?
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Yep.
Cool.
I don't shake hands, sorry.
okay.
Yep, you're good. Drive safe.
The officer eventually just says, you know what, fuck it, we'll take you at your word for it, and he offers a handshake, which is immediately declined. I honestly, when he said I don't shake hands, I honestly thought the officer might go with like a, but I do high five, and he goes like, down low, too slow, walks away, puts on his fucking shades or something. So, even though Gregory Stallings has successfully de-aggroed the cop here, he's now outside of the dialogue trees, the officer still wants to get to the bottom of this because it is very odd that none of the information he provided turned up any results.
So what we're going to do for now while I keep investigating this is I'm going to take a picture of you and send it to our guy who has facial rec. So you pull your hat off and your glasses off. So, and both the socials you gave me come back to other people. One of them's deceased, the other one's a lady, so I don't think either of those are you.
No.
We have technology, so he's using facial recognition now to try and figure out who this John Doe is. So he takes a picture of him, gets him to pose like it's for some kind of fucking high school yearbook photo, sends it to the facial rec team, and then he's also informing the man that actually the information he provided with the socials goes to different people. One of them's dead and the other one is a woman. So now things are getting even more suspicious. He does keep reiterating that he doesn't want to arrest this guy, but he just needs to confirm his identity, so just do his best to remember the accurate information so they can both get on with their day.
You don't think you got warrants or anything, do you?
As far as I know, I don't.
Okay. Well, have you committed any crimes?
And
Well, besides...
no.
Yeah?
No. I'm not out trying to outrun the cops on my bike.
Okay. All right, brother. Time to be honest with me, okay? So, the info you give me comes back to a dead guy. Gregory Stallings is dead.
And the associate, right?
And the Soch, yeah.
That he gave?
Yeah. So who are you? You're Gregory, you're just not dead?
I'm not dead.
Yeah?
Dead.
They're getting pretty confident that something smells fishy here. There's something awry, so they confront him saying, look, Gregory Stallings is dead. Imagine if that guy was just in like, dead? He just starts profusely crying, no! How did this happen? And then all of a sudden he just starts like fading away like a Thanos snap or something. He was actually just like a spirit that was tethered to this world, didn't know that he died. But anyway, regardless, they're telling him like, look, this is fucked up now. We know that there's something definitely afoot. What's going on? Just tell us the real information here. But he's sticking to his guns, saying that, no, he is Gregory Stallings, and it might just be a misunderstanding because he's been kind of off the grid for so long.
Is it just because I haven't been on anything for a long, long time?
They don't just declare people deceased because they haven't heard from them in a little bit.
Okay, I'm just...
Did anyone come back with the facial rec or no?
No, no hits.
No hits?
No hits.
It said 2000 was the year of the death. Did you go missing in that year? Did you...
Someone report you missing and then they just declare you...
I don't talk to my people in a long, 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 long time.
Not even Big Brother was able to nail him. Facial recognition came up nothing, empty-handed. So they're back in the field with nothing but their words to fight this battle and figure out who the fuck is this mystery man here. They then start speculating maybe it's a big misunderstanding and he perhaps went missing in the year 2000 when Gregory Stallings was pronounced deceased. Like maybe this is a fucking Hey Arnold Dino Spumoni moment where he faked his own death and he's still just out here. So they ask him, did you go missing? And he's like, well, no, I haven't talked to anyone in a really long time.
During the officer's phone call, he turns off his body cam and it cuts back into them somehow discovering the fact that he is a convicted rapist on the run for the last 30 years.
I get it, brother. I mean, I see most of it, and I understand it. Yo, none of us are mad at you. I'm just baffled that law enforcement has let you go for 30 years and not push the issue.
They cut out the part where they discover the truth. Like, that is literally removing the climax of this whole situation. It'd be like watching a Sherlock Holmes film and they take out the part where they piece everything together to get the conclusion. That's so fucking stupid. What? So apparently they somehow were able to figure out that this guy is not Gregory Stallings. Instead, he's this convicted rapist from the 80s who escaped in 1995 and has been on the run ever since. That's like a crazy amount of like breadcrumbs to put together, and they don't tell you exactly how that came about. That's fucked up. Like, I've said this for a long time. I think it is so fucking dumb that officers can willy-nilly turn on and off their body cam whenever they want. That, to me, defeats, like, the whole purpose of the body cam if you can just turn it off at will. You read about that all the time in cases of, like, really fucking awful situations, and then mysteriously the body cam was turned off, or the body cam just happened to be turned off at that point. Like, it's so dumb. There should be protocol in place to prevent that from happening.
But then eventually VC showed up. VC said, hey man, cut the shit. Tell us your real name. He just told him his real name. I did that like 6 times.
This is the only information I could find about how they got to the bottom of it. So VC showed up, just said, cut the shit, and the guy just forked over all the information, I guess. Just vomited out all the truth. So maybe it wasn't like a really elaborate investigation that led to them discovering this. I think it was just this guy showed up looking all hard-boiled and shit and just pressed him saying, like, we know you're lying, just tell us your real name and everything. And then the guy did.
Can you go to the vape shop, buy me a pack for $4.52?
I am really inclined to do that because you were honest with us. So what kind do you want?
The Crown Menthol 100.
I'm not going to remember that. Crown Menthol 100.
Yeah, just keep it, ask them for the cheapest menthol they got. And both matches, too. I don't even have a light. Thank you.
That's old.
I do need a cigarette.
You have a light, though?
No. That's why I'm telling you, give me a book of matches.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
Matches too.
Book of matches.
They're acting like best pals now. He even sends the officer grocery shopping for him to get cigarettes. I don't understand. He's like, yeah, you know what, I'm inclined to do that because you were honest with us. So he's rewarding him with like a fucking lollipop here, giving him the cigarettes. Maybe that was the deal they made, like, hey, look, pal, we know you're lying, and I'll go get you some cigarettes if you just tell us your real information. He's like, all right, bet, and then did so. It's also so weird how friendly they're being with this guy. They even in sync said book of matches together like some shit out of a buddy cop movie. But he's a convicted rapist. I've seen so many body cam videos where they're being unreasonably aggressive to people that are being cooperative and not rapists. Like, people that are, you know, getting busted on, like, super simple drug charges or something. They're like, you're the scum of the fucking earth. Listen, pal, you're lucky I don't run your fucking head on the pavement right now and curb stomp the shit out of you. And meanwhile, this guy, who's a rapist who escaped from a halfway house 30 years ago, they're like, yes, you want those cigarettes? Yeah, we can do that for you. But anyway, looking deeper into the George Hartleroad case, that's this guy's real name. He is not Greg Stallings. Huge twist. He is George Hartleroad. And he was convicted of rape in 1983. And in 1994, he escaped from a halfway house, and he's been on the run ever since.
They're going to, oh, we got him again. Oh, we caught him.
You're not everything.
No,
everything you said today has been 100% correct. I can't be mad about any of it because you've been 100% correct. Other than the dead guy's name.
I didn't even know the guy was dead.
Yeah, now you gotta find someone else in
95.
Yeah, he died like 5 years later. He did not last very long.
He did. He did.
So you better find someone else.
Well, that'd be easy. Don't worry.
That'd be easy.
There was a brief moment during this where they weren't sure if they were supposed to arrest him, like if the state would still want him after all of this time. And eventually they concluded that, yeah, the state does still want him. And then they explained that he's going to need to take someone else's identity because the one he was using's been dead for so long. I think they were just joking about that. I don't think they're actually giving him, like, pro tips or anything on how to take someone else's identity. But he says it's easy to do that. So Greg Stallings was a real person. And apparently, George Hartleroad is pretty familiar with how to get that kind of information. Apparently, you can just get that at some homeless shelters. The other officer mentions that he was surprised he didn't just take it from someone's mailbox and piece it together that way. But then George explains that that'd be deeper shit because that's a much harder thing to do, or a more dangerous thing to do. So it turns out he wasn't just pulling names and numbers out of his asshole. He actually did have that information, which probably explains how he'd been able to get by for the last 30 years when needing to provide information for certain things. So it wasn't just an imaginary friend that he made up.
I will jump again as soon as they turn me loose.
Every time...
No, guys, they've been pumping my ass for 30, 41 years now.
Yeah.
On a 9-year sentence.
Every time I think I kind of got an idea of what's going on, stuff like this, just like you could buy IDs at homeless shelters, and would never have thought.
He talks about his ass being pumped and then even makes like a quick villain monologue about how he will jump again. Like, now he's going full mask off here. So they've got him, they arrested him, and it looks like he will be facing some punishment for the last 30 or so years after escaping.
I knew they'd want me. Well, I worked in their office at one time, and I'm the one that posted all the flyers in the thing at one time for them.
That's pretty much the end of the encounter. They then, shortly after that, put him into the car, and he just gives that last maniacal laughter, the mwahaha. He hits him with, like, that classic villain laugh. Like, he looks like a wizard, and it seems like something Saruman would have done once the plan started coming together. Like, he actually hits them with, like, an evil laugh at the very end there. So yeah, I saw this earlier today and just wanted to talk about it because it was just so interesting to me. That's really about it. So yeah.